there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Once again, it is Sovereign Saturday. Your space reflects you. And I've talked about having your own space and everything before, but you know how I do on these videos. I always get some new people, always got to remind them and, remind people who, reinforce it for people who've been watching. But I'm gonna tell you what, when you're talking about sovereignty, it's very important that you have your own space. Now, even if you have to, rent out a room or something, that's your space. Because your space reflects who you are, what you have in your space. Like y'all see this part of my space now, right? Y'all see this part of my space, got books. I like to read. Even though I can talk some trash on my car videos and stuff, and yeah, I can be out there in the streets, I can still be as intellectual as anybody and stuff, but this is a reflection right here. Somebody come in, I got the books, and that's one thing I've always had. If I would have, you see some artwork up here, I got artwork all the way around here, and it's all of it's a reflection of who I am, how I set everything up. I got a gold jar just with some gold vase rather, with some coins in it. That's a reflection too, because the gold, a pot of gold. So that's a reflection. When you set up your place, when you set up your spot, it really is a reflection of you. I can go in anybody's place, male, female, young, old, regardless of race, ethnic group, or whatever, and I can tell you everything about them just by looking at their space. Like when I dealt with this one young lady, and I remember I went in her space, and she was fine outside of it, but when I saw the space, I was like, I had to think about some things. I was like, it's kind of jacked up in here. Because here's the thing, whatever you have inside of you, you're going to recreate it outside of you. Let me say that again. Whatever you have inside of you, you're going to recreate it outside of you. So if you look at your space now, if it's all jacked up, it's all messy, that's saying something about you. And I've talked about this before several times. That's saying something about what's going on inside of you, because what's inside of you is reflected on the outside of you. Even how you dress and everything, that's still a reflection. But when you're talking about your space, which is very important for you to have as a sovereign man, it does need to reflect who you are. You need to think about what type of books do you have a bookcase? Now, if you don't have a bookcase, that's okay. That's you. What type of artwork you have in there. Or let me talk about the books. Let me go back for a second. If you do have some books in there, what type of books you reading? Are you reading like fiction, nonfiction? Are you reading books for entertainment? Or are you reading books to raise up your intelligence? You getting the good information off of it? It's something to think about. Now, if you don't have it, you don't have it, especially in the age of social media. A lot of people, they'll just say, well, I'll just watch the videos or I'll listen to the audiobooks. Okay, that's fine. But it's still, if you have books in your place, that's a reflection. Or what type of couch you have, or how clean you keep your place. Let me talk about that. If you have a jacked up place, now you don't have to be like super clean. Like an old TV show, The Odd Couple had Felix Unger on there. You don't need to have like it just totally clean. It helps though. It helps. But how are you keeping it? Because that's a reflection too. Because if you don't keep your place straight, that's messing with your mind and everything. Because the main thing with being sovereign is having control. Having control over your life. One of the things you can control very easily is whatever space you in. You know, and that's regardless if you, okay, say staying in a room in somebody's house, that's your space. That's your space. Or you have an apartment, you have a house, whatever, you know. If you own it, hey, that's great, but very few people actually own stuff, but that's still your space. You still paying for it one way or the other. How are you keeping it? And that's something to think about. That's something to think about. Because let me say this. If you go, because how you have the artwork in there, like if you, okay, let me talk about artwork for a second. If you get artwork in there, it should motivate you in some way. If I were to show the art pieces in here, I have a lot of warrior type of pieces in here. I have a scholar piece right here, but a lot of warrior pieces, a lot of male pieces. But then I also have a space for some female artwork, a couple ladies up on the wall and everything. You know, one day I might just take the camera around here and show you what I have, you know. Even in my bedroom is very just plain. The bedroom is very plain. It's peaceful and everything, you know. Do you have candles? Do you have incense? You know, you gotta think about all those little things because it's thinking of how you thinking. But here's the main thing with your space. You control it. You have control over your space. Is one of the few things, other than yourself, you can control at least your space. Because even if you living in a room in a house somewhere, most of the time, as long as you pay your bills and don't cause any trouble, you know, you're given that space most of the time. I know of one instance, just real quick, there was a woman staying in a house and she wasn't allowed to like lock her door. She had to get out of there. She couldn't trust those guys. But, you know, you just got to have your space there. And I know someone now who has a space in the house and it's very, very straight, everything. It's a reflection of who he is. See, that's very important, and that's something you need to think about because it does reflect you and you want it to reflect you and you want it to reflect back at you. It's like a mirror. It's like a mirror going right back at you. You might not think about it, but if you get like shoes all over the place, it's dirty, it's all of that, oh, it's going to affect you otherwise. It's going to affect you. You don't want that. You want it to always reflect who you are. You want to keep it as straight as possible. Very, very important. It's your space. You want it to reflect you. You want it to reflect who you are. You want it to reflect your values. Like, I'm gonna use the books again. I value reading. Seriously, I'm not big on audiobooks. I'm not big on audiobooks personally. I like something I can read and underline and all of that. But that's a value. And then even someone were to come in here, they see all these books. It's like value. That's who I am. And that's what your space is. If you're talking about being sovereign, part of it is 100% you can control yourself, but then you can control the space you're in. You're expanding yourself. It's a reflection of who you are, all right? So anyway, that's all I have for right now. Keep rising to become the sovereign man that you are meant to be, all right? Peace and blessings, everyone.